Space, the final cool frontier. Something, something, something. We're probably gonna kill a lot of little green dudes today. Hey, everybody! Happy Wednesday, my dudes. Very excited to be back at Kerbal. But nervous. Not because of Kerbal, but because this is our last normal gaming stream before another weekend of Let 'em Dare. Which terrifies me, because I always know how much I feel like I've had my ass kicked by the end of it. And with every passing year, 48 hours of programming seems more and more daunting. But we are going to be doing Let 'em Dare game programming competition this weekend. Starts Friday. Does it start at 9 p.m. Eastern Time or 6? Because I know they've got a couple of different... 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On Friday night is when it starts. If you've never been around for a Let 'em Dare weekend, it's pretty freaking fantastic. You're basically watching me slowly go crazy over the course of 48 hours, but we make awesome games! So, very much looking forward to it. I am thinking it might be fun to do something kind of arcadey and fun. If we can do something that sort of like plays a little bit on some of the concepts of like a Vampire Survivor kind of arcadey kind of thing, like a twin stick shooter, but single stick shooter because of auto firing, that appeals to me very much. But of course, there's always a possibility we'll make a strategy game, a card game. We've made plenty of those in the past. We'll see! Space, the Quilliam's Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Belgium. Its continuing mission is to make strange new builds. Simon, thank you very much. Also, just more gift subs. We had, a second ago, we had a gift sub from, why is it not in here properly? Oh, it was also 4 Evil Not Good. I was getting confused. So 4 Evil Not Good gave a gift sub right before the stream started, and 5 more just now. Thank you very much for that. Looks like Eric, 85 Eric, has also just gifted a sub. Thank you so much there. That is much appreciated. We've got some resubs coming in from Sir Gawain at 3 months. Thank you very much, Sir Gawain. Cassius Maximus Meridius at 10 months. Katie at 16 months. Kandari at 40 months, Robodine, 34 months, Skelet Scott, oh, that's a fun name, at 21 months, 7-Foot Dust Bunny at 20 months, we got a few of those kicking around the house, we gotta do some more cleaning. The Only Shen at 64 months, Scorpion at 44 months, Eric is resubbed as well with 16 months, Tiger Master, 24 months, a 2-year Twitch anniversary, and said something at pre-stream about finally being able to catch one. I guess Tiger Master hasn't been, well, I say Tiger Master. I don't know if that's how you want your name parsed. That's the way I always see it. I guess you haven't been around as much. Maybe conflicting schedules, but I'm happy you could be here. Trotter at 21 months, Jacob Ford at 9 months, Steel Sky at 74 months, and Yondar kicking things off today at 19 months. Just now we got Hard Hats at 14 months. That's good. Safety third. Pizza Metris at 17 months. Thank you very much for that. Let's get Kerbaling. I'm very excited for today. We've got 2 really cool missions in the bank available here. We still have the Explore the Moon mission from last week. So last week was first week on this career save. It was a little bit rough because one of the mods I have is reordered something in the tech tree, and the module we started with that the Kerbal could pilot, it turns out it's not, it doesn't have an even center of gravity, or maybe it's not an even center of drag, and so we kept having problems getting our first rocket into orbit. Couldn't figure out why until someone mentioned it in the chat, so we just got the science to unlock the normal command capsule, and then everything was fine after that. But I was starting to think, like, have I gone crazy? Don't I know how to Kerbal? Well, maybe I don't, but I at least know how to get a rocket into space. So once we got that sorted, we're okay. But today we got some exciting stuff. Explore the Moon, which is actually just to do a flyby and get some science. There's also a mission to put a satellite in geosynchronous orbit. We're definitely going to want a bunch of satellites long-term to set up a relay network. Now, this is specifically not a relay network satellite job, although we might include a relay antenna on it. We will see. We will see. For the moon mission, does it have to be a manned mission? That's a great question. I suspect the answer is actually no. All we have to do is, fly by. We have to get some science from the moon, and we have to return to Kerbin from that. So it could be an unmanned satellite. Although with the return phase, honestly, I probably will put a pilot in there. I think it'll work out just fine. It will mean throwing in some life support. I don't know. I guess it could be either way. Oh yes, and Wymie, that's right. I did see that, but it came right before the stream, and then I got distracted. Wymie sent in a contribution to the Whiskey and Chocolate Fund right before the stream started to say, as a Swede who will not see their national team play in the World Cup, go Denmark and Canada! Oh, man, that is exciting. When does the World Cup actually kick off? No pun intended. Okay, kickoff, I guess, is more of a hand egg thing than a foot soccer ball thing. But anyway, because yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching it. Extra invested because Canada being in there. I mean, could you imagine we get out of the group stages? That would be crazy sauce. And Loon Call, thank you very much. Yes, shed a tear to the memory of the wonderful Moon Day stream titles. It is true that Moon Day for Kerbal was maybe the tops, but we currently have Management Mondays. I'm happy about that. 435 days. Okay, it's gonna take a while. Kickoff is a foot soccer ball thing too. Okay, so noted. How about a hockey manager game for Let 'em Dare? That'd be fun. You know what would be fun? There's a soccer game. I can't remember what it's called, but the theme of it was like a soccer game made by someone who doesn't know how soccer is played. It's like super kicking guys or something like that. Someone in Twitch chat will know what it is. And it was really funny. And what if we could do a hockey game, a very loose hockey game interpretation of like, well, if we don't actually know what hockey is, I don't know. Or maybe we could do like a hockey like card game. We like really do something bizarre. Anyway, we don't know what the theme's going to be yet for Let 'em Dare. Looking forward to finding out what that is. The voting for that is going on. If you do sensible soccer, there you go, best soccer game ever. If you do have an account on letemdare.com, or you can make your own, you can vote for the theme for the competition. I mean, in theory, the voting is supposed to be done by people who will actually be participating, but I also encourage you to participate, so we'll see. But yeah, Let 'em Dare is this weekend, so I'll be seeing you guys on Friday for that. Almost certainly there will not be a well, someone actually made a suggestion. I was going to say there's going to be no Monday stream because I'll be recovering. There's a possibility we could do like a Prime Video live stream on Monday or something like that. But I'll definitely be looking to try to recover from the weekend, so we'll see. Kerbal, what years? Everyone loves Kerbal. It was good. Yeah, it was Punisher. It was like, I thought maybe, but I didn't want to say because if you say it wrong, it's like worse. Yeah, Watch Party Wednesday. Well, it might be Watch Party Monday. It might be Watch Party Wednesday as well next week. We'll see what the recovery's like. Anywho, do we want to do the satellite or the moon mission first? I feel like the moon mission might be a little bit more exciting. I feel like I want to do the moon mission. Since we don't have a satellite network, I think it will be a manned moon mission, just because we won't have to worry about loss of signal. And in particular, because of re-entry, I think it's just going to be a little easier. Plus, it'll be an interesting challenge. We'll get some XP. We do have a fair amount of science. Right before the stream started, I did take out our rover again. I did a little drive out just to the hills over here to get some more science. I also did a launch from the island over here with the rover, just to pick up a little bit more science. But we're just over 200 from the last stream anyway, so we just squeezed out a little bit more. So I was thinking the fuel system here we'd get, just because it would give us access to the external fuel duct. And that gives us a huge amount more possibility for making some grand rocketry designs. So I think I'm going to do this. Boop. Signal depends on difficulty. I'm playing on normal difficulty, and I think unless we do a bunch of upgrades to the tracking station and things like that. Well, the problem with the signal is being on the far side of the moon, you get eclipsed. That's the real concern I'm having with the unmanned mission, but we'll see. Yeah, where does the safety light unlock? I wonder if I can just search for that. I think it is. Is it not called the safety? Maybe I'll just search for light. Guys, where's our safety light? It must be one of these earlier levels, but I'm not seeing it. Did we already unlock it? How are we going to do this without a safety light? It might just have a quirky kind of name, so it's not coming up in the search. Oh well, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to do unsafe flights for now. Okay, so I unlocked that because I did want the fuel stuff. What else are we going to do? There's a space exploration add-on here, which does add some extra science modules, which is pretty valuable. And a lot of these we're actually going to use as is. Miniaturization, I don't think we need this. Maybe more electrics. More antenna. We've got the extendable solar panels, although that shouldn't be a huge problem, truly. There's some extra lights in here, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I don't need the recycling. Storage, I don't think we need this. Aviation, I mean, gives us some more wings and things, but no. I don't think we need the protective shell. You know what? I want the launch stabilizer, if nothing else. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything critically we need. There's a radial decoupler here. We might already have a radial decoupler. In fact, I think we do. But we might want more options. Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll start constructing our spaceship and then see if anything might be missing.
It's whiskey and chocolate.
And then we come back. Okay, there's a bunch of life support containers over here, but these are pretty large. Because I think 1¼ meters is the diameter we're mostly going to be working with here. Let's start construction before we spend all our science and see what's what. We got more whiskey and chocolate. Brother Beard, thank you very much. Bribes to the Whiskey and Chocolate Fund for a birthday flight into space. Ooh. Oh, well, we are going to be using the Twitch naming thing over here to automatically draft things. In fact, one of the things we're about to do is draft a new pilot. One I think we might do is, I'll try to remember it. I think we might be able to do custom tourist names. I'm not sure. We'll see what we can do about that. Name Moose! My friend and housemate will be doing London Mayor too. Oh, I'll be helping with playtesting and advice. Oh, well, name Moose. I'm happy that you're going to be helping out your friend. Hope it goes well. You don't have to hashtag name. This is automatic. Don't hashtag name. It's not going to do anything right now. This mod will pull it automatically from Twitch. All you have to do is be a Twitch viewer, and it will pull your name from here. So let's go and push the button. You can stop spamming hashtag name. I'll put it on a block list. You're just going to fill chat with something that's not doing anything right now. Draft a pilot. It's going to be Piracite. Piracite? Piracite. I don't know how you want your name to be said, but we've got that. So my thing is, so we've had another pilot, right? We had Zixi over here. So Zixi was handling the early test flights, getting to orbit, that sort of thing. Meanwhile, this whole time, Piracite has been in the simulator prepping for this moon mission. So they don't have actual space experience, but it's going to be fine. Totally going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. I think we're going to start with a brand new design. Or lead off with the Mark 1 command pod. That's going to be a-okay. Before we get any further, let's make sure to add a parachute on there, as well as a heat shield for re-entry. Although, as long as we do a shallow enough re-entry, coming back from the moon, it probably will come in with an amount of heat that can be managed without the heat shield, but we'll have a bit more of a buffer here, and that's going to be okay. And then an interesting question becomes, like, what else are we bringing with us? Well, that is actually quite interesting because, for example, if we're deciding to bring the Science Junior, for example, which is fairly chunky, we re-enter with this. This should be fine. And if we do this, we definitely want the heat shield. I think we do want something like that. Now, the other alternative, there's a storage unit. I guess there's no inline. Oh, there is the experiment return unit. How big is this? It's awkwardly sized. Because we could just collect the science this way. We could also do an EVA to collect the science and put it into the pod. What would be nice is if we had a scientist with us and we could repeat the science. Or we could bring 2 of these modules with us. Because really, there's going to be upper atmosphere science, high moon, low moon. There's going to be a lot of different science spots that we can do. So we're kind of going to be restricted to probably only do a single pass of the Science Junior. It's very heavy. I don't think we want to bring multiples, and I think we're just going to have a single pilot. This is a single Kerbal module, yeah. We actually do have the science, I think, to unlock the Mark II, which can fit 2, but I think it is a bigger radius, and that might be a bit beyond our means. I think this initial one, we're just going to do a pilot. We're going to accept the fact that we're not going to be able to science every biome along the way. That's okay. We're going to get enough science to unlock some more stuff, and on our subsequent missions to the moon, which there certainly will be, we'll be able to collect more. And in fact, our next mission might actually make use of the Mark II command pod, which I think fits 2 Kerbal, so we can bring a pilot and a scientist at the same time and do more science kind of thing. What we can do, though, is we can bring multiple goo pods. Now, an interesting question is, where do we put it? And I can't remember where we'd come down on whether or not these things were sort of physics enabled. I'm worried about putting it on the edge here and having it burn up on re-entry. What we can do is put it quite high up on the module over here. And this should be eclipsed by the rest of this and should be free from aerodynamic stress on re-entry and not burn up. I'll put it up a little bit higher. I don't think that's going to cause a problem with the parachute or anything like that. So we shall see. And yeah, I think... Do we have... Actually, that's a good point. Do we have radial chutes unlocked? Radial drogue chutes. The thing is, I think as long as we come pretty shallow, the single chute should be enough. But we probably should have the extra safety of radial chutes. I mean, they are really large. But I guess that's going to be okay. Oh, cool. You can add a flag. Oh, that's nifty. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get an excess of parachutes. Ladders? I don't think we need ladders. We're not looking to land. But yeah, the only problem is whether or not, like, the actual final hard landing, which might be less of a problem if we're landing in the water. I don't know if they'll burn up on the sides. The thing is, I think one chute should be okay. The problem is, like, we could set it up higher, but at a certain point... You know what? Maybe we don't need the symmetrical stuff. I could just slap a single extra one on the back there. It will shift our center of weight a little bit, but not much. Like, it's probably not even visibly different over here. It still looks pretty centered, so that should be fine. Maybe we'll do that. We'll have a pair of parachutes, and I think the radial mounted one is quite a bit bigger. Tolerance. Yeah, there's not actually a spec here in terms of how much drag it actually produces. Won't EVA to select science be safe without ladders? Yeah, so first of all, there's an implicit ladder on the outside here that the Kerbal can grab onto, and other than doing technically an EVA to collect the EVA science, I don't think we're going to be doing EVA like collection of the science experiments. So I don't see any reason why we'd worry about a ladder at all. What we'll do is we'll throw on like 4 thermometers so that we don't have to EVA to collect that, and we can do them repeatedly. And the press mat barometer, maybe the same thing over here. Lots of science mounted to the top over here. That's going to be okay. I don't think we need anything else that's in here currently. But chutes and ladders. Are you just trying to make a board game joke? Excellent. This is not a lander! Is that what people have confused? This is not a lander. We're doing a flyby. A flyby only. No landing whatsoever. We're just gonna swing around the moon and come back. It'll be like Apollo, I don't know, 8 through 10? 7 through 10? I'd say 8 through 10. 8, there you go. So throw a decoupler here. Oh, I want to get a couple of... Oh yeah, we don't have the expandable solar panels. We don't have batteries, but I don't think we're going to need that. I just want to make sure we've got some solar panels mounted on the top of this as well, just so that when we do detach our engine, we don't lose power. And actually, if we're going to use the carrier, that I believe has no power generator on it, so we'll need solar panels. We don't need a lot of power generation. Oh shit, life support. Well, life support can be down here. That's going to be fine. Let's see, where is the... Is there a category for life support? Right here. Okay, we do have some. That's good. Do we have a combo one? Yeah, life support supplies over here. Now, do we have this thing over here? I'm sorry, that's 300 days worth? Because it's only going to take us... Is it a 3-day round trip or a 3-day in each direction? I think it's about a 3-day round trip to the moon. Now, I think excess waste and wastewater and carbon dioxide just gets dumped off the side. Like, this is how much it can store, but I think any excess that gets produced just gets dumped. So we don't need the big one. I guess, life support hex can. I mean, we could just attach it to the side somewhere else, just out of curiosity, though. If we have just a single one of these... It's 47 days. Wow! I sort by mass. No, that's the lightest can, is these hex cans. And then there's also this little life support container, which is quite easy to put in line at the top here. Then we don't actually have to worry about things being separated and bad. This is going to give us 35 days. So obviously massive amounts of overkill, maybe a little too much weight. On the plus side, though, it will work out if we accidentally slingshot ourselves into a high Kerbal orbit. Then we'll have plenty of life support for the return trip. Yeah, and this is the life support module. So it's got food, water, and oxygen, so it should be okay. Yeah, I think I would like to aim for a water landing. But I think if it was a ground landing with the 2 chutes, I think we would land soft enough that it's going to be okay. And yeah, we can reduce this, absolutely. I just don't know if we should. I guess the question is, how much mass are we talking about? Yeah, actually, even empty here, it saves barely any mass. It's 0.04 tons for the container itself, and everything else being full is just adding 0.001 or 0.002, I suppose, mass. So it's actually not a problem at all. Yeah, we're gonna go with the full amount because it's not really contributing that much weight. Good stuff. Okay, all the numbers are still okay over here. I haven't effed up anything. Nope, looks good. Okay, so now what we're looking for is the stage that will operate in space. And at this juncture, I should go KSP Delta V map to remind myself what the basic calculations for getting to the mun is. So that's for landing. I think that's for landing. So 5,000, a little bit more back. Well, we don't need much Delta V to leave. Well, we're not even going to orbit around the moon, actually. We're just doing a flyby. So, okay, we need 3,400 is the minimum to get into orbit around Kerbal. And let's call it 900 to do a flyby of the moon. So that's 4,300. Let's say 5,000 to give us extra room for inefficiencies. And then a little bit more than that, just for padding, in various stages. So, that's sort of by math, which actually is not a terrible way to go about things. I think I'm going to have the mid-sized fuel tank here. Oh, yeah, the art's different with the Terrier. So, if we look at this, this is 2,000 Delta V. In the vacuum. This thing here is an engine that's super efficient in the vacuum only. That is going to be more than enough to complete circularization, getting us to the moon, getting us back. So as long as we don't need this to get to space, we should be super duper fine. So then to get to space, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in an extra decoupler. And then let's go for the T800, which is the largest fuel tank for this particular radius. And then if we were to throw on a gimbaling engine over here, what kind of specs are we looking at? Well, the surface level thrust is 1.62. More than enough oomph to get us started off the ground. Looks pretty good, but not enough overall Delta V. I really want this first number probably to be around 3,000, which is more than overkill to get us into space, and we'd have some, even on an inefficient ascent, we'd still have some left in this stage to to circularize if this was 3,000. At 1,500, it's definitely too short. Our total delta V over here, assuming we get to use the Terrier stage entirely in a vacuum, would be just barely enough to orbit, but not in a really comfortable sense. Now, I have enough thrust left over. If we were to just extend this fuel tank like this, how would that look? Our surface level thrust is getting pretty thin. It doesn't add a tremendous more amount of delta V, but isn't bad. I think what we're looking for at this point is some boosters on the side. Now, one common thing that people do wrong in Kerbal is this. Let's say you have this rocket over here, and let's say this thing could get, let's just pick some arbitrary number, 10 kilometers high, right? So you have this rocket, it can get to 10 kilometers high, great. What happens if we make a copy of this rocket? Oh, I can't make a copy of the whole thing. But let's say we had 2 of these rockets side by side, and they launched side by side. Each one would get to 10 kilometers, correct? Yes. Now, what if we had these 2 rockets side by side, each of which went to 10 kilometers, and we glued them together? What would happen? Exactly the same thing. Because despite the fact that they're glued together, the whole thing would still just get to 10 kilometers high, and that would be it. So that is a thing that a lot of people try to do, is they're basically doubling their rocket, but it's not really going any higher. Now, this would go a little bit higher because it doesn't have the weight of the extra command module at the top, but it really wouldn't make much of a difference. What you actually need to do to get higher up is imagine instead of putting these rockets side by side, you put them one on top of the other. The base rocket would launch. Now, it wouldn't go very high because it would be carrying tons of extra weight. But even if it only got to 1 kilometer high, and you'd have a little bit of momentum, and then you dump that and started the second stage. That second stage wouldn't at that point go only another 10 kilometers for a total of 11K. No, because it already has a little bit of starting momentum, which would help. Also, it's a little higher up, so the atmosphere is a little thinner. Now, you wouldn't double. You wouldn't go from 10K to 20K, but you'd go a little bit more, like 15. So that's pretty good. So that idea of like staging this way helps. But then the ultimate way of improving things is when you get access to these external fuel decks. That's where the magic starts to happen. Because what you can do at this point is you can do something that looks very similar to what I was just talking about with the initial argument, right? Where, well, isn't this the same thing, you know, just, well, in this case, 3 rockets, but 3 rockets going 10K instead of, you know, tripling it up. But what you do is you get yourself a radial decoupler of some kind. Like that. And then attach it. And then, so first of all, what happens is even if you don't have the fuel connector, what you do is you launch and you just burn these 2 side things. It's basically the same thing as stacking super high, except stacking super high is inconvenient. So you're sort of stacking sideways. You launch with these 2 burning on the side. It gets you that initial oomph. Then you separate them and then burn your central engine. And then this thing here with its 10K potential, but at this point it's going to have a much higher initial velocity and be quite a bit higher off the ground. This will get you quite a bit further. And then it goes really stupid once you get the external fuel ducts. Because what this does is instead of only launching with the 2 side ones active, you launch with all 3 of them active. But the 2 side ones are going to be feeding their fuel into the central bit. So once you detach the radial decouplers over here, the central thing, which has been burning since launch, is still 100% full of fuel. And that's where the beauty happens. That's where the magic happens. So if we were to look at this right now, with the current design, it's currently going to light the 2 external engines first, and the central one's not going to go. And we don't have enough thrust for this to be meaningful. But if we just rearrange our launch structure, so all 3 of the engines are going, now all of a sudden our initial surface level thrust is 1.42. Plenty of oomph to get us moving. Then at some point we detach these side pods, and we still have full delta V on this middle stage over here, which is going to bring us a huge amount, a total of 6,200, which is exceeding the target number I had placed for our flyby of the moon. In fact, it's possible you could do a moon landing with this much, but we are not designed for a moon landing. We don't have a return stage or anything designed. Instead, what we're going to have is a little bit of extra space. Do I not have struts? Yes, we need nose cones, I agree. Because if we were to launch now, these bits would totally wobble and it would suck. No struts, no safety lights. Now, say, I don't remember if we had the ability to auto strut over here. It might be built in. Let's do a save. We need a name for this rocket. I mean, really, like, in a sense, what we were designing is kind of a lifter stage plus the rocket stage. Well, that's really the only nose cones we've got. Huh. They seem huge, but sure, we'll do it. The Trident. Totally not Space D Mark 1. Kerbal. The Fork. I kind of like the Trident, which actually might have been an actual thing. Oops. Oh yeah, I forgot. I've got... Where's my click mode? There you go. The Trident Moonshot Mark 1. So we're just going to save this. And we're going to look for struts. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called? Oh, basic construction. There it is! Strut connector. Yeah, baby. Okay, we got the duct tape. Everything's gonna be fine. Trident's name, a U.S. submarine. Oh, yeah. Well, we're gonna be a potentially less explosive Trident. Or maybe exactly the same. Alright, there you go. Now we got our strut connectors over here. So we're just gonna duct tape. Oop, I don't have symmetry mode turned on. Just gonna duct tape the bottom of this way. Keep it nice and stable. Lovely. You want your separators to be near the top of the boosters as well, because this separates with a little bit of a charge, a little bit of like a bit of an oomph. And so what we want is the top of those boosters to do this, and then they'll sort of fly away from the rocket. Whereas if you do it from the bottom, then the aerodynamic forces might push the boosters into the central stage, and that would be a bad thing. All right. Actually, staging... I think the staging is fine here, right? All three, then we drop those, then we stage here, and then we can do the next engine, then we do this, and then we parachute. That seems okay. I don't remember if I'm running the recovery mod. I mean, I guess it would be in the mod list. Hold on. I don't know if I'm running stage recovery. How come I can't... Exclamation mark mods. Is that not the command? Do I not know how my own thing works? Is Moobot asleep? KSB mods. No, I'm not running stage recovery. Okay. I think I wasn't because, like, it helps you save money, but it's less critical. Like, if I was running Kerbal construction time or something like that, then I'd be like, no, it's at that point, it's very critical to make sure you've got it, but otherwise we're okay. We're gonna just tweak the staging a little bit. I want these engines to light and give us a moment of stability before we go ahead and break this off. It'd be cool if you could put a little... There's a deploy limit. It'd be cool if you could put a deploy delay here. Like, when staged, actually wait, like, just 1/10 of a second before you actually release. Because that's what we want. Oh yeah, this probably exceeds our launch pad. We haven't upgraded the launch pad or the VAB yet, so it's a very good chance we're gonna get errors about both. But... let's consider here. How is this looking? Delta V stats are looking where I want them, which is great. We've got life support. We've got power generation over here. We've got a variety of experiments. We got the heat shield and everything. I think this is technically functional. And technically functional is what we're aiming for. We could do a drogue shoot. We don't need a drogue shoot. We're not going to have to slow down that much. It's not... I'm not worried about... slowing to a critical mass on reentry here. I just want to make sure the final touchdown is gentle enough to not break things. So, you know, keep it below 10 meters per second kind of thing. Yeah, I don't have a battery. There's a battery built into the command pod, and we've got solar panels. I think we're okay without an additional battery. SAS theoretically is going to be provided by the pilot, which is just going to literally just be SAS. We're not going to be able to do lock to prograde or anything like that. Well, unless we've unlocked some MechJet stuff. Do we want the antenna? I mean, I guess with the antenna we could actually transmit science, which does make me think. I think the thermometer you can transmit for 100% value. I don't know about the barometer. Yeah, we could put some fins. The thing is, with triple gimbling engines at the bottom here, we actually probably don't need fins at all. but because we're gonna have lots of stability from the gimbling itself. But yeah, let's throw it on, because if nothing else, they look cool. I mean, we'll be in the shadow past the moon for a little bit potentially, but it's gonna be very short. How's we have 2 hours worth of electricity. So, like, we'll be on the dark side of Kerbal itself for, I don't know, 15 minutes, maybe half hour at the worst. I mean, we'll use some power for doing some maneuvers and stuff. I don't think we need a battery, and batteries are heavy. And we don't have any inline batteries, like round batteries. I think we're okay. We're going, we don't need fins. Looking cool is more important than working, right? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I don't think we need an antenna. Air intakes. Oh yeah, we got different extra subcategories over here. And yeah, annoyingly, we don't have a safety light. Just these illuminators, but they're stupid. We have the escape towers. We're not going to bother with that. What could possibly be required? I think we're going to be fine. I don't know. The panels, I think, are going to generate power like plenty. I don't know if there's a way to get that specific stat. Now this power drain, I think, is based on if everything was burning. I haven't used this ampere parts list, but it came highly recommended. Data transmitter. That's the big power drain threat over here. If we are transmitting power, that's where we're gonna go. Can we... Emergency shutdown, priority 2. Oh, that's really cool. So I could take it out of the ampere calculations. Include this part in emergency shutdown procedures. Man, I'm gonna have to read up on this mod, because there's some cool shit going on here. Oops. Stop. No, stop. No, stop. I can't escape here? I guess I can just click. As long as I'm not on the ground? No, we're good. So yeah, now you can see that our power drain is basically nothing. I haven't actually turned off the part. I just removed it from the calculation, which I think is fair. So for transmitting science right now, it would drain our power, but that's pretty typical. We're gonna be fine. You know what makes life a little bit easier? We're gonna try to take off from as far off the ground as possible. Look at that! We're already halfway to space. Everything's gonna be okay. Let's save. Let's so we're not getting any complaints currently. We have too many parts and too much mass. We have to upgrade both the VAB and the launch pad, which was expected. VAB needs to be... Oh, that's so fucking expensive. Launchpad is quite a bit cheaper. And how much the actual rocket cost? Oh, it's only 26,000 Kerbal bucks. It's fine. Piracete! Strap in. It's time to go to the moon! And just wave out the window. Launch. What's nice about the moon is we don't have to calculate a launch window or anything like that. Yeah, baby. Okay, so I do have Smart SAS unlocked in MechJeb from the parts we've unlocked. It doesn't. I don't think it's got all the features currently, but that's okay. We might use some of this. We'll see. For now, though, we'll turn on SAS. Parasite themselves only knows how to keep stability assist, not lock to prograde or anything, but that should be fine. Throttle's going to be full. Staging looks fine, so we want to hit the spacebar once to light the engine, and then after just a beat, we want to do it again to release the stabilizers. What could possibly go wrong? Actually, one moment. I want to upgrade, if we have enough money, I want to upgrade the tracking station so we can get some conics. Although, I guess we can't get... You know, I tend to pride myself on doing the first moonshot without conics. It's not like... it's not like we can unlock... We need both mission control and this to be able to do flight planning. And we don't actually have enough money for that. Fuck it. We're gonna just eyeball this. I mean, we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants, right? The thing is, the moonshot is actually, like, so easy to eyeball. It's crazy. All right, SAS turned on. Throttle to full. 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah! All right. And yeah, with 3 of these gimbaling engines, we should have really good flight authority, plus some giant-ass fins, which are bigger than ones before, and we still have reaction wheels in this top bit. So we're just going to fly vertical until about 100 meters per second, and then we're just going to try to shift over... Well, we've got a little bit of drift right now, which isn't ideal. Just going to try to shift towards the right. I'm going to try to stay within the prograde circle. If I go too far outside, we will potentially start to flip. You know, all of our flight authority aside. Push a little bit more than this. So we're trying to watch the fuel. Is this, yeah, this is all working properly. So we're going to stage the next one when these side boosters are out of fuel. We're getting a little bit of atmospheric drag. I think I do want to try to turn a little bit more here, while also trying desperately to keep an eye on our fuel situation. I'm going to want to try to stabilize prograde when I detach here, because if we're going at a little bit of an angle to the wind, we can have the boosters flying into us. So we're just going to pause this for a second. And stage. So my ascent is a little steeper than I would like. I'd like to be much flatter than I am right now. On the other hand, we're in a thinner atmosphere, so I can definitely start to maneuver a little bit more aggressively out of the prograde. Watching our apoapsis, once it's over 70k, we know we're going to space. And yeah, it's so thin now that I'm feeling very comfortable going quite flat with my trajectory. There we go, we're over 70k. I'm going to keep boosting here for now, but mostly just trying... This is a pretty artificial flip over here. It's not ideal. It's not the most fuel efficient, but that's okay. We're just going to be applying some sideways thrust here, just to try to flatten out the look of this orbit over here. The flatter this is, the more efficient. I'm going to keep... The apoapsis is being pushed here, and really, like, ideally you don't want to push it up very much, but I'm comfortable making maybe 100 kilometers as our radius. So when I do get to 100k as the apoapsis calculation, we'll go ahead and stop the engine. We're going to exit the atmosphere in 15 seconds. Okay, apoapsis coming online. Yeah, we're going to be killing the engine pretty much exactly when we exit the atmosphere here. Coming up on 100k apoapsis. And engine burn off, and we are in space. Here we are. Look at that. Gorgeous. Paracete is the second Kerbal to go into space. We still have a bunch of the rockets still left here. We're actually going to be able to complete circularization with what's left in this stage, which is kind of spiffy-doo. Is this first stage going to be left in orbit? It might be. You know what's fun? Like, we can leave the space trash in orbit. We can also just have it blow up remotely from the tracking center. It could be fun to, like, make missions which are literally just to clean up space trash. We'd have to either, like, we might make up our own missions and then just cheat money into it as a reward for doing it, because there's not actually any missions to support that, but it would be kind of neat. Let's, yeah, we got some contract parameters. Good, good, good. Let's keep an eye out on these various numbers here. Mostly if, like, the power starts to go down, we'd be a little bit nervous about that. It's not a problem in Ascent, because this has a generator built in. All right, we're a minute to apoapsis. I don't think circularization is going to take very long at all. Oh, I see the capitalization now. So I should probably just call you Piri. Does Piri sound good? I didn't actually see you in chat earlier, Piri, so I apologize for maybe not responding to your clarifications. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a burn at 30, and if the time to apoapsis starts to shoot up very quickly, we know we're burning too early. Time to apoapsis is climbing, not very quickly, but it is climbing, so we don't actually have to start the burn quite yet. What you don't want is your burn to start and the time to apoapsis is still dropping quite quickly, but I don't think there's any threat of that. All right, let's go now. What I'm going to do is just do a partial throttle. Really, the ideal is to dump all your delta V at the exact moment of apoapsis for maximum efficiency. But we're going to go, we'll just do a little bit of slow burn. Now I'm going to throttle up and just let the time to apoapsis drop slowly. Oh, now it's going up. Okay, it's going up quite quickly now, which isn't much of a surprise. I mean, we've got excess fuel, so it's not a big deal. Kill the engine. Just going to point to the horizon again. Let's go for burn. I'm just going to let it happen now. And periapsis coming up, coming up, coming up. And there we go. So we're not 100% circular, but that's fine. The reason you want to do your burn as close to the apoapsis as possible is because if you're at the apoapsis, anything, you got to think of this with the orbits. Whatever you're doing isn't going to change where you are now, which is this phase of the orbit. Anything you do just affects the rest of the orbit over here. So ideally, if you're right at the apoapsis and you do your burn, you're not going to change the apoapsis, which is the high point of it. And it's going to put all your fuel into raising the periapsis, which is better. If you're doing a burn that's raising the apoapsis, you're sort of wasting some delta V. But because you can't literally dump infinite delta V in like 0 amounts of time, you're inevitably going to change the apoapsis a little bit. But we didn't much here, only by 2 kilometers, which is not really a big deal at this point. And we still have like stupid amounts of excess fuel. It's just ludicrous how much we packed for this, but better to have too much than too little. This yellow orbit over here, this is the mission for a satellite, which we are not doing. So we can, I don't know if I can probably hide that from the contract, but we'll just go ahead and ignore that. What we're really interested in is visiting the moon over here. So the neat thing about the moon, all we have to do is we have to get our orbit to be big enough to intersect the moon's orbit. Now, ideally, the real trick, though, is to make it so that wherever our orbit is expanded to reach the moon's orbit, the hope is that as we travel along this orbit, the moon travels along its own, and we happen to end up in the same place at the same time. That's the desire. With the upgraded command center and tracking station, we can get patch conics, which will give you previews to various things. You also get maneuver nodes, and you get a preview of what the maneuver will do once you complete it. That's the easy way to do it, but you can actually get to the moon fairly simply. And you can do that simply by burning prograde when you see the moon rise in the sky. So right now, actually, the moon is right here. We actually just basically missed the burn window for the moon. We want to start burning towards the moon just as we see it rise. We just missed it rise here. We could still do it, but it wouldn't be quite as efficient, and we're doing it kind of, seat of our pants and blind, so it wouldn't be very good. What we're going to do first of all, a couple of things. I'm going to do a little quick save in case I accidentally misclick something. I'm going to hit C. Take a look inside the command module. Oh, this won't do it all. Let's go ahead and give us a little rotate. Oh, look at the gorgeous planet above/below us, depending on your perspective. So beautiful. Oh, man. Love that. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to fast forward time. I'm going to have that turned off. Good. And we're just going to wait. So if the moon's at 12 o'clock, right, we're watching our thing come around. We're going to fast forward time until we get around here, which will be just before we start to see the moon rise again. All right, stop. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're facing prograde, which is facing into the direction of our travel. Because what we're looking to do is we're looking to add energy into our orbit, which makes our orbit bigger. So prograde and retrograde, that's in the direction of our travel or the direction against our travel. This is how you embiggen your orbit. So we're just going to face prograde, and we're just going to wait until we see the moon appear, which should be fairly soon. Although with all the like scatter mods and stuff like that, we've got more atmospheric things happening. Just going to correct back to prograde again here. Okay. should be any moment. Oh, there it is. Excellent. Okay. So all I'm going to do is burn program. And hopefully I haven't forgotten how to do this. Let's find out. And we're just going to go and hit the gas. Try to keep ourselves on prograde over here. Could have used mech jeb. Seems okay. And we're going to see this gray line. This is our orbit. Okay, we need to stage. And then light the next stage. Carrier engine is a go. You can see our orbit growing. And it's going to start growing very quickly here. And we're just going to let it grow until it gets very close to the moon's orbit. Doesn't have to be spot on, because at some point we will get captured by moon's gravity. And luckily we're not having to make much of a corrective radial burn. We're not exactly bang on the moon's orbit, but pretty close. Let's just give it a little bit more. Okay, we're definitely going to be captured by the moon's gravity at this point. For sure, 100%. Now, at this point, if we had done our upgrades, we would get the preview, probably before this, of us intersecting the sphere of influence of the moon. And this launch, where you do it right when you see the moon rise, will time it out properly, just by happenstance. By the time we get here, the moon will be over here as well. Hopefully, we're not going to smack into the moon or anything. We'll have to wait until we're inside the moon's sphere of influence to get an update on our conics to figure out exactly what this is going to look like. But yeah, now we're good. I'm doing a little quick save, again, in case I misclick and accidentally, like, stage one too many times or something. There's, is there a button to, like, disable the staging? Is it this? There's a button somewhere that you can do to make the staging, like, locked. I don't remember where it is. We can turn off the SAS just in case of batteries. Alt-L. That's inconvenient. What we're going to do here is we're just going to time warp. Let's do the time warp. So we're limited to times 50 as we're close. Now we're higher up, so we can actually go to a higher time warp. So we're just letting a bunch of time go by. Now, it looks like we're way ahead of the moon here, but as we get close to this, we're going to effectively slow down our movement. The speed of our orbit is going to feel proportional to sort of like the angles over here. As we get here, there's going to be a moment where it feels like, I mean, it's just like being thrown up in the air, right? There's that moment where you're at the top of the arc, and you're sort of just hanging there, it feels like, and then you start coming down. So same sort of thing with the parabola. Our movement rates are going to be, it's going to feel like it's going to come straight, far down over here. And the moon will be able to catch up at that point. Probably, hopefully. Let's find out. There it goes. Whoa, okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. All the things. We are currently going to have a really close encounter with the moon. Really close encounter. We're literally going right through the moon over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a burn. Ooh, turn on SAS, please. We're going to make a radial burn to tweak this a little bit. It's a little aggressive, that approach. There was the pacifist run. We're just going to do a burn here. We're just burning downwards, basically. And there we go. Now, what's going to be awkward here... Actually, I should have done a normal or anti-normal burn instead. I suppose we still have time. We got lots of fuel, right? Hang on a sec. Let me go and undo this and put us back in kind of a bad state where we're going to clip through the moon. All right, what we're trying to do is I'm just trying to burn. Now I'm burning upwards. There we go. Okay, then it's going to become very hard to like keep it stable. But we're going to try to burn so that we're coming back on the same plane. Not that it really matters because we'll still be in Kerbal orbit, but this will look better. I'm just doing this because I've got extra fuel. Now I'm going to pick the normal or anti-normal, which is going to be right or left. And at this point, it doesn't really matter which one I pick. It's about the same. So I'm going to do this burn instead. There we go. Now we're going to miss... Well, we're not quite missing it, but we're damn close. Oh yeah, because the normal point changes here. Although, hold on, we don't have to do the normal. Now we can still just do the radial thing here. That's true. Because the sense of it changed a little bit as we went. There we are. So now we're gonna miss, and we're gonna do that. Now, in theory, shit, no, this is a bad loop. I should do the other way. Because this is gonna fling me quite high up. Well, I don't know, without patch conics, I can't tell how high this orbit's gonna be. I should have gone the other way though, because this is gonna slingshot us up and far. Kind of want the anti-slingshot, which would be the other way around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep burning radial here. Because won't that make it less of a slingshot? Honestly, you know what? Fuck it. Well, I'm not worried about the fuel. What I'm worried about is us accidentally putting this in orbit where it's going to take 300 days to get back. But in theory, we could burn the fuel to try to fix that. If we had the patch conics, we'd know exactly what our orbit post-moon is going to be. Yeah, the negative number for apoapsis just means that we're not actually going to be in orbit of the moon. We're going to pass by, and then we're going to break out of its sphere of influence, and we'll be back in orbit around Kerbal. The important number is the periapsis here, which is actually still fairly high, maybe higher than I would like. Now, I could burn retrograde here, but I think the thing to do is to burn sort of inwards here, the anti-radial, which is going to bring down the periapsis. I don't remember what close moon orbit is, but I feel like it's like below 25K. I might be wrong about this. This is using basically no fuel. I'm just using one tab of shift here. Here, we'll do this within 20K of the moon, just in case it matters, because I think we get more science from a close flyby than a far one. I don't know. But let's do some of our repeatable tech, and we're going to do some of our repeatable science on the way back home as well. Oh, do I need to upgrade for the EVA? I thought we did upgrade. No, okay, I got that. Just, I guess this button's not enabled for it. The time warp can be stopped. Oh, space high 60K. Oh, thank you. That's actually great. So 60K was still close. All right. So we'll get a crew report. Oh, we're not actually at the flavor of it. I think I can enable... Oh, there we go. Results window. Temperature scan. Turns out it's pretty damn cold. All right. Can't really get a measurement. Turns out, spoiler alert, there's no pressure either. I'm not going to do the mystery goo in the material study because I think the close one will give us more science. I love the look. Look at this. Look at this. So gorgeous. But we were going to do an EVA. Scary as hell. Previously, X-Science, or maybe some other mod I was using, if you click this, it would EVA the Kerbal, and then you click it a second time to actually get the experiment. Oh, so scary. We're going to get the EVA report. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to collect the data over here. So this lets us collect the mission report, and then when we board it, I always like to think of it as we're taking off the clipboard and putting it under the seat, because now I can do a new mission report from a different perspective. Okay, everything seems to be good. Power stable. Feeling all right. No power projection currently. Oh yeah, well that's a good point. What we can do here is we can just rotate around, make sure our solar panels are facing towards the sun. Interesting. Why does it still say 0 power production? Oh, is it because we're full? It's because we're full. Okay. But yeah, it is a good idea to make sure your solar panels are vaguely facing the sun. Okay, we're going to go ahead and fast forward here. Oh, I do have a persistent rotation mod, which does turn itself off if you have SAS. But normally when you time warp, it freezes your rotation. But with the persistent rotation mod, it doesn't. If you have SAS on, though, then when you time warp, it still freezes your rotation. But we can let ourselves free rotate. But yeah, with X-Science, it should freeze when I change biome here, which should happen when we get below 50K. Oh, we're now... Oh, this is a new biome. That's not really... New situation. Yeah, but... Oh, it's changed the situation, and because we haven't used these yet, it's going to freeze. Maybe I should just use it in high orbit. And then we won't have to worry about the freezing. Oh, I want to do the mystery goo anyway. I forgot I have 2 of them. I mean, I could do it on the way out. We did do the crew report, because otherwise we'd be in the list. You know what? I'll just grab the material study. It might be that closer gives us more science, Maybe it doesn't, but in any case, this will stop the annoying pausing. There you go. So now it won't pause over the different biomes. Well, I thought. All right, we'll do this. So now it won't pause. And stop. All right. So now we are, oh my god, I love how this is open. You can see through it. So freaky deaky. Now we are in low, orbit, in low space, near space. So we're going to get a new crew report. Look at the surface of the moon, try to find a good landing option. Inside of the crater seems like it might be best. Well, we'll keep that in mind for a future report. Temperature scan still isn't useful. Atmospheric scan still not useful. And it would have been more science on the material study, 75 instead of 50. That's okay, we're going to come back to the moon. We'll get another mystery goo. Goo feels right at home. Excellent, love to hear it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to enable SAS, although I guess it might cancel when we leave the capsule. And an EVA. Excellent. What I'm going to do before I go back in, I am going to collect the data from the Science Junior in case it explodes on re-entry, and more importantly, for the mystery goo containers. Now, they can't be reused, but the important thing is now they're all inside the capsule. So even if the mystery goo burns up on re-entry, we're going to still have the science. It does feel like this should get closed. It's just cosmetic. I don't think it matters, but we'll go ahead and close those. That's going to be fine. I forgot EVA report. Thank you. EVA. EVA report, take it, board, lovely. Okay. So nervous. All right, now we're just going to let time go by, see what happens when we break the sphere of influence on the moon, and find out how terrible everything is. We are spinning, you can see, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, yeah, that's a little bit long. Oh yeah, I could have burned retro at the periapsis, that's true. Well, to go into orbit, I guess it probably would have helped shrink this as well. It's hard to know the point of view. Still though, this is going to be okay. What we're going to do is we're going to burn retrograde over here. Yeah, because actually we're in an orbit that's really, really high. That isn't very good. Now, to shrink the orbit, like what we ultimately want to do is shrink the periapsis so it's within the orbit, or be within the atmosphere of Kerbin, because that means we get to go home. The problem with this whole thing is still a very big loop, and the problem is that we will, it's going to take too long. So we're just going to burn retrograde here, which will shrink every part of our orbit. I'm hoping we're not going to encounter the moon again, but if we just barely do it, it's not going to be a huge issue. I'm going to burn retrograde a little. And now all of a sudden our orbit time's much, much lower, which is great. I'm going to do it some more. We still have tons of fuel. We've got tons. Mostly what I'm worried about is intersecting the moon again here and having everything get thrown off. But this is okay. Now we're going to reach apoapsis in 2 days. And then we could do a retrograde burn there to shrink the periapsis. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this a little bit more anyway. There you go. We have stupid amounts of fuel. So now we'll get to apoapsis in about a day here. So we're going to go ahead and let time go by. Make some power drain. We can turn off the SAS. Yeah, we're going to be okay here. We'll get to the apoapsis, and then we'll do the retrograde burn to bring the periapsis to within the Kerbin's atmosphere. There is more science out here, you're right. Including probably an EVA report, actually. Well, yeah, it's on the list. Grab that. Grab that. EVA. EVA report. Done. Take. Board. Excellent. Okay, good. The moon's going to be ahead of us. We're not going to have to worry about accidentally running into the moon again. Again, this would be much more trivial with the patch conics. But I always like doing the first moon mission, seat of our pants style. Okay. We're going to just pass the apoapsis, just barely. Come around to retrograde, SAS turn on. Whoa. And we're going to burn retrograde to bring our periapsis to within the atmosphere. So under 70k. And at this point, I'd probably like to target it, say, about 25-ish. Just slightly. Very close. One tick of shift. Oh, there we go. 20k. Man, we still have so much fuel, it's ridiculous. The CO2, I think, is just going to get dumped out into space. This, I think, is how much we can store. After that, the CO2, the waste, and the wastewater, I think, just starts to vent into space. Fingers crossed that I remember that correctly. We're going to find out. Turn off SAS. So we're definitely going to do a re-entry. Now, we don't want to re-enter with the engine, but I'm going to leave this on for now, just in case there's something crazy that happens. We'll do a little quick save. I always like to quick save before I time warp, in case I accidentally time warp too far. Otherwise, someone's going to get soggy feet, yeah. There you go. This is about to fill up. But yeah, and then it just stays full. So we're wasting the CO2 by venting it into space instead of recycling it. But no one cares about that. CO2 in space. Sounds like Oni. What we're doing, we're just terraforming space. We're just going to keep venting CO2 into space until we can, you know, have an atmosphere everywhere. That'd be terrible for space travel. All right. Electricity depleted. Uh-oh. Oh shit. I'm facing the butt end into the sun. This is bad. So what's bad here is none of our solar panels are active, and eventually we will die from lack of electricity. It's okay. We can fix this. I've done this before. I don't remember the controls, but yes, we are going to get out and push. Wait. Do we not have a rocket pack? You need to research that? But the rocket is rotating. I have no EVA repellent. Wow. I did start a rotation, that is true. So we're going to be fine. There you go. We have positive electric charge now. Is it in pod inventory? Maybe is it something we have to actually load onto things? Do we have to load the... Is that mods or is that part of the base game? That definitely didn't used to be that way. I love it. But yeah, we got the rotation going. Thank goodness. We just jiggled things a little bit. Let's turn on some SAS for some stability here. There you go. Make sure that we're not occluding the sun. And let time go by. All right. Everything's fine. You guys are panicking for nothing. I wasn't panicking. I never panic. Just gonna slow the time warp here as we get closer. Everything's looking pretty okay. All right, kill the time warp. It's time for us to release the stage. Now, what we can do actually at this point is we could slow down our orbital velocity, which is a thing I like to do. Now, if we just burn retrograde, what's going to happen is we're going to lower the periapsis to inside the planet again, which means we might come in too steep, which would be bad. We can raise the periapsis at this point by burning sideways, by nudging it to the side. So it's this thing I like to do when I've got all this extra fuel and I don't want to come in too hot. So if I burn radially here, I will actually raise the periapsis, because what the radial burn is going to do is going to twist the shape of the orbit around where we are. You see this? See how the orbit is just twisting? Now it is raising the periapsis. Now we wouldn't be coming in within the atmosphere. But if I burn retrograde, then the periapsis is going to drop again. So we're burning retrograde to take energy out of our orbit, which means we'll re-enter slower, which is nice. And then if I'm not happy with this, if I want to burn more, what I do is burn retrograde, or sorry, burn radial to twist the orbit and raise the periapsis in a very inefficient way, but it would do it, and then burn retrograde again. And in fact, what happens is you're going to want, you can burn between these 2 points. The sweet spot to keep your periapsis exactly where it was is going to shift as your orbit changes, so you keep having to adjust sort of between these 2 points, but you can balance it. Here at this point, though, we're good and very comfortable. I've got no problems with this. So I think we're just going to go ahead and stage. Where's the sun? Guys, I've lost the sun. Okay, where's the shiny side? Shiny side over there. There it is. Okay. Just making sure our solar panels are still being illuminated, which is the case. Look at the planet. We're falling towards it. You have so much fuel, you could use it to land on a planet slower. All right. Quick save. In case I accidentally stage too often. Stage. See, normally I turn off SAS at this point just to avoid accidentally draining power. But in this case, I want the stability to make sure that our power or our rocket stays facing towards the sun. But yeah, we're just... It's weird, because it looks like we're falling straight down, but I guess we are falling at an angle. The periapsis is still positive. It looked like we were falling straight down towards the planet, which you don't want, because a steep descent means you've only got that 70 kilometers of air between you and the ground. And in fact, most of the air is really at the lower part. You want to come in sideways so you're cheating and have more air between you and the ground. Be like going on a diagonal. We're not flying, we're falling with style. I mean, literally, yes. And what I'm going to want to make sure I'm doing is surface retrograde. New situations. Oh my god, I could EVA report right now. Okay, let's do it. Ruin the mission right now. Go, 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 go. Board. Excellent. Okay. And we might get a few more of those prompts, but we're not... Why can't I see... Why can't I see myself? Oh, wow. We're just super zoomed out. Okay. That's fine. Why didn't you use the engine slow down your fault? We did. That's exactly what we did. I mean, we can use it more late minute, but the engines ultimately are going to be irrelevant compared to the atmospheric slowdown. So what we're going to have to do in this case, because we're not as aerodynamically stable as our last re-entry, we're going to want to make sure we're manually continuing to face retrograde. We're going to keep our ass end into the wind to make sure we don't like flip out and burn in a bad way. So that I don't have to like break my brain focusing too much. We're gonna go negative S level over here on the smart ASS from MechJeb, which is just doing exactly what I would be doing manually, keeping the rear end facing into the retrograde marker over here, which means we're coming in heat shield first. There we go. So the number to watch over here is the ablator number. This is going to decrease, and you can watch the rate. So this is the rate of decrease over here of the ablator as we're burning away the heat shield on the bottom. Hopefully nothing else starts to glow along the way. And at some point, the rate of ablation is going to go down. That's going to tell us we're safe. There's a part that's getting a little crispy. We don't have any radiators, but we should be fine. Should be fine. Peary, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, Peary. Everything's going to be fine. Well, the ablation rate has paused and should start to decrease now. There it is. Good. Good. Excellent. Bum, 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 bum. Everything's fine. If there was no air right now, we would actually still go back into space and into orbit, because we're not actually making contact with ground. But you can see the periapsis height dropping, 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 dropping. We're still ablating at 0.5 a second, or a minute, or however that's time. Probably per second, yeah. But that rate is dropping. We no longer have the temperature meter either. Everything's looking good. Have you ever managed to burn through all the ablator shield? I don't think I have. I've had plenty of fiery burn-ups, but usually that happens because it's too steep, and like even the heat shield isn't able. There's not enough heat dissipation. I think we've had full burn-ups, but I don't think I've ever had the ablator go to zero. Yeah, I mean, Sagacious said you can't bounce off the atmosphere, which some people have described. But yeah, if it's too steep, if you enter too high, you can clip through part of the atmosphere and go back into space. You'll still come back at some point, but you know the resulting orbit might be problematic. Okay, we actually could just drop the SAS mode completely at this point because we're not burning up. There's no more problems there. I can get a crew report. Let's go ahead and do that. And the parachutes are now safe to deploy, which is lovely to see. I'm going to wait a little bit longer before I deploy them here, just so that we don't have to wait quite as long for us to return. So we are going to have a splashdown, which seems a-okay to me. Our speed is still dropping slightly. Don't need the ablator anymore. Power is good, because we do have constant solar power as well. Alright, I'm going to do the initial deployment of the parachutes. Then we can turn off the smartass. And there we go. Good stuff. We'll go ahead and do physics warping, which is always a little scary, because sometimes that can cause the simulation to explode. Less of a problem these days than it used to be. Oh, these are grasslands! I thought it was like just sort of greenish ocean shading. No. Oh, that's true. I can detach the heat shield to drop a little bit of weight. There we are. But yeah, our descent is very gentle. I don't know that we needed both parachutes. Actually, I could have left the heat shield on there. Since our descent was fine, I could have left the heat shield on so that we could recover it for a little bit of extra money. Yeah, the parachutes don't do clipping. But calculating, like, parachute clipping is very difficult. Like, that's some funky physics to deal with. And they're like, no, let's not bother. Thump. Hey! We've done it! Huge success! Recover the vessel, should give us lots of science, and complete a contract which should give us huge money. Yeah, you did hear the heat shield explode, yeah. Can detach the pilot to lose weight too. Alright, next mission. Well, actually, the next mission might be just the satellite mission, so we don't need patch conics at all for that. There you go, 338 science earned. Yeah, baby. Okay, how do we get the EVA jetpack? Okay, already. That's the inline cockpit. Is it space exploration? EVA repair kit. EVA jetpack. Holy crap. Let me research that now. Because I don't want to forget that no more, no how. I would like the expandable photovoltaic panels for our satellite launch that we're about to do. That'll be quite cool. I don't know if there's anything else we specifically need. So I might just save the science. Let's try to do the satellite mission ASAP. Oh, I didn't. You're right. Let's bring the ribbons over here for Perry. Hang on. Don't need no jetpack. No, it's fine. We'll just we just get out and push. Just breathe hard in one direction. That'll work. Right over here. Final Frontier. Peary's ribbons. Dangerous EVA ribbon for executing EVA while not in a stable orbit. That's true, because we are on a re-entry. It's too bad there's not a colored background for these tooltips. I thought there usually was. First Moon EVA. Kerbal Orbital EVA ribbon. Kerbal EVA ribbon. 0 atmosphere. Stable orbit. 0 atmosphere. Okay, some overlap it feels like. Landing on Kerbal ribbon. Yep. Speed record. Mach 4 ribbon. Research 5 for bringing home 200 or more science points. You know, our scientist also has that as well. So some of these are for first, and some of these are just, you know, accomplishments overall. Like we got the first Moon EVA, for example. That was very cool. Okay. Our contract. So we have to build a probe. Has to have an antenna. Has to generate power. And has to have a science junior on the satellite. Oops. Go away. I don't want you. I just wanted to close the contract. So it's going to be a fairly chunky satellite as a result. I could save this. Why do you save like partials? There's a place to do that. We'll figure that out for next time, because this satellite, this rocket's going to look very different from that one. So we're going to use the Probo-9 Octo as opposed to the Staputnik. Now, one of the big things is the Staputnik here doesn't have reaction wheels, whereas the Octo should, and it does, which means we can turn it without having to use like RCS propellants or anything like that. It's going to be much easier to work. So that's going to be the core of our satellite, but we know we need a Science Junior. Now the Science Junior is a big boy, but totally manageable. We're going to need an antenna. Now, I don't know if we've unlocked... We do have the high gain antennas. This shouldn't be required. The communitrons should be plentiful over here. I like the surface mount version, personally. But I don't know, maybe we could have this one as an extender. It feels like it should be on the end over here. Kind of thing. Now, power. We might want batteries for this, actually. These two exactly the same. Just a different graphic, basically. And 9-volt versus a couple of AA's. Huh. Yeah, also this one. What's the charge on that one? 200. We don't need a ton of charge, but I do like the inline placement. Although that is extra weight. But it's symmetrical, and that counts for a lot. One of them looked free. I know it says electric charge cost 0, but I think that's just because it's coded slightly wrong. I think that's like the cost of, like, you know, if you were to fill it before launch or something weird like that. They cost 80 each. One is battery, one is reserve power. What does that mean? Oh, reserve power version. Oh, this might be for like the emergency. This isn't used normally. I'm betting it's part of the amp mod or whatever I've got. It would probably toggle it on, or some damn vibe like that. But yeah, we'll run this one. This is a regular battery pack. Perfect. Just get that going in there, and yeah, we'll be ready to have a pair of these, which, when extended, are gonna look like that. And then we don't have to worry about accidentally occluding ourselves. It'll even twist and things like that. I mean, I guess if the sun was literally on edge here, we could have a problem in this exact orientation. And if we didn't notice, that would be a problem. Now, that's pretty unlikely. What you can do to protect against that is just make sure you got a couple of flat panels in that direction, or an extendable way that's on a different axis. The other thing we can do is, yeah, we just have 3 in a triangle pattern over here, but this might be better. Nice thing about this is this will be able to generate power before these get extended. You know, if we forget something, we can do something like that, although we have a huge battery charge. One uses good batteries, the other uses batteries you get in a local Dollar Tree. The ones you keep in the junk drawer in the kitchen. That is where we keep our batteries. So, I mean, once it's in its orbit, it doesn't really need an engine, although, you know, in theory, there might be adjustments. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out what engine we're going to use for this. So if we sort this by mass, I mean, there is the ant. The nice thing about this is it's, like, it doesn't thrust very hard, but it's very efficient because it's light. I think we might base ourselves on the spark here. The pug? ISP number is the actual efficiency. These two are about the same. This one's got a little bit more thrust. Oh, it's bigger. Which, I mean, would be in line with the size. So maybe, I mean, it's heavier as well. Quite a bit more. But it might look better because it's the right size. I don't know, I kind of just want to use the little pug here, or the spark. And then just one of these, and then like that. So this thing has 2,000 delta V. This can go a long way. It won't push itself very quickly, but this is a huge amount of delta V. I guess it's kind of awkward to... I don't know. I was going to say, is it going to be awkward to put in the coupling? But I suppose not. Yeah, it looks a little weird. On the basis that it looks dumb, I'm going to use the pug. Even though it's slightly... Actually, did it give us more delta V? It might have. We will need a fairing, though, to cover this. I don't think we have fairings unlocked. Oh wait, no, it's under payload, isn't it? Is there a way to... Oh, toggle snap. There we go, thank you. There we are. So we have the decoupler in place, which will also drop the fairing base after, which is fine. And then we just need the initial ascent stage, which I don't think is going to need a tremendous amount. Total Delta V 4,700. That's going to be more than enough. This little bad boy is going to be perfect for our deployment. We'll throw some little fins on here. We just need 3. The initial surface level thrust is pretty high. We probably won't want actual full throttle when we go. I could actually throw a limiter on here now, just to make it a little easier to not overthrust, but I think it's better to just launch at full thrust and then we can pull back. Way too low, surely, and only needs to be under the satellite itself. I don't know what you mean. I mean, the fairing? I mean, yeah, we could have the fairing just be there, but I want to be able to eject the base and not have to carry it around in the upper stage. So that's why I want it below the decoupler, even though it means the fairing itself is a little bit bigger than it needs to be. But it feels like the end product is going to feel better. Maybe just to me, but, you know, does anyone else count? I think this is great. All right, let's, so we have the Science Junior. It can generate power and has an antenna. And it should be able to get to the location. Hopefully it's aerodynamically stable enough with the larger head, but I think it will be. All right, what do we call this thing? The big-headed rocket? Big-headed satellite launcher? Dave. We could fit more science on it, but it'd be transmitted science. Wouldn't necessarily get huge value. I like the asparagus, actually. Although that makes me think of the asparagus staging, which is a thing you can do in Kerbal. The asparagus, Mark 1. All right. Again, in theory, you want the engine to start right before you drop this. All right, I think we can go for this. Center of lift, center mass. I can't think of any reason why we'd be off balance that way. Should be okay. Does your pee smell funny when you come back from space from the asparagus? Hey Reagan, thanks for the sub. The resub, 85 months in fact. Nighttime launch. Look at this little cute little baby rocket. It's so adorable. All right, let's take a quick look at the satellite launch over here. So we're looking down on Kerbin right now, and look all dawning. It's the dawning of the age of asparagus. The age of asparagus. Asparagus. So what's important here is that this is going counterclockwise. The little line that you see, which is good because that's a normal direction we take off in. We take off from here. No, that's the island airfield. I don't know where. I guess right here. We take off from this, and we take off to the east, which is by far and away the more efficient way to take off. So we take off facing east, and that is the direction that this is spinning in, which is good. Every now and again, you get a satellite where the orbit is inverted, so you have to take off going west. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, or you'll have to spend a ton of fuel fixing that. Now, it definitely has an inclination here, and so ideally, we would like to meet that. From here, if we take off east and a little north, it's going to be okay. I'm not going to stress too much about that because correcting the inclination is not tremendously difficult. But if we take off with a little bit to the north, it should save us a little bit of fuel when it comes to, you know, the final steps. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Initially, you want to launch. Well, there's no timing here with the ascending node. Like we're not trying to match orbit with something else. So we can't, if Kerbin rotates, oh, maybe Kerbin does rotate beyond this, but yeah, we're not going to stress. Ideally, yeah, if you can time it with where the actual nodes are, you can get your inclination right, but where we are over here, actually the timing's not bad right now, I'm going to say, for that. If you just launch straight east, it would be okay. We'd be able to fix it. And the periapsis is, yeah, 2 million meters. So we can launch quite high for this. SAS turned on, which we have because of things. Throttle set to full. Let's go. Base upgrades before launch. Do we need to do a... Oh, no, we're not going to need... Well, maneuver nodes might not hurt, actually. But we're not going to need patch conics or anything for this. Let's just go. We'll figure it out. We don't have the relay arena antenna, that's true, but I'm not caring about it for this. I mean, I guess it could have doubled as a communication satellite. It's fine. Yeah! Oh, what a gorgeous little rocket. So pretty. And because it's quite short, now it does have the larger fairing, but it's quite short with the gimbling engine and the reaction wheels. We should have pretty good control authority going over here. As you start seeing the this, especially as we cross the Mach barrier, you can sometimes lose a little bit of control. I'm going to throttle back just a scooch to limit how much atmospheric drag we're being affected by. Oh, I was going to go a little bit north, wasn't I? Let's push it just a little bit that way. Hopefully this actually is north. Yeah, it should be. Oh, man. It's getting warm, but mostly okay. Our first stage did not have enough fuel. Ah. This is not... Our first stage did not have as much fuel as I thought. Well, we're already going to space. We're fine, actually. We'll just wait. I should have gone a little flatter. There we go. Now we're in space. So now we don't have to worry about atmospheric drag messing with us. Everything is fine. All right. Where's my thing? There you go. Sometimes it doesn't zoom in. We are in space. We're going to go ahead and extend our solar panels. Good. And now we're just going to, there we go, start pushing prograde to embiggen our orbit. Now, this is not going to circularize. We're just pushing the apoapsis up. But that's okay. Here, so I don't have to do quite as much clicking. Let's get the smartass up again. Just lock yourself prograde. Thank you. Okay, let's stop here. Get to the prograde marker to circularize. And we'll just figure out where we're at. I think... Oh, prograde? Q? We are? Oh yeah, we've got lots of time here. Yeah, we're basically... I guess we did tilt a little south. Basically, we're equatorial. So we didn't do the inclination very well, which is too bad. Now, so I'm burning to circularize here. One thing you don't want to do is fix your inclination in low orbit. The weird thing is, so fixing your inclination is cheaper, takes less fuel, less delta V, the bigger your orbit is. And if I recall correctly, there's a funny fact where it's literally always more fuel efficient for you to raise your orbit, change inclination, and lower your orbit, should it come up. Yeah, we really didn't. I shouldn't have burned it all in the atmosphere. We shouldn't need much more fuel here. But it's possible we don't have enough. We'll see. I thought we had more than enough with our numbers, but... Yeah, too much atmospheric drag. I think you're right. I think we had lots of delta V, but I think the shape of the rocket and the speed I was going at, we probably did spend way too much from atmospheric drag. But that's okay. I mean, I could have easily added another half tank of fuel. And in hindsight, clearly I should have. Yeah, we're not going to have enough. Well, that's a shame. Alright. Abort mission. We're out of fuel. Just to... This rocket basically costs nothing. We can go to a space station and blow it up. I'll just revert flight, because it'll save us some clicks. And I'm lazy. The money doesn't actually matter for this. It's a microscopic amount of cash. Alright, we got a request to add the comms relay a second time. Probably that would be a brilliant idea. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's delete this fairing. We're going to replace this antenna with the relay antenna. Because you're not wrong. So, the H5 and HG are both relays. Now, this one's going to be fairly big compared to this one, right? This is... antenna rating 5M, 20M, yeah. Because it's 4 of them put together. So we can do this, and then when it extends, it goes sideways. Okay. And yeah, this will feel better with the mission if it does all this as well. There's no auto fairing, right? Put that back. Fins. Okay. So we had 4,700 delta V. Now we have about 5,300. And more importantly, perhaps, is that we have a lot more delta V within the atmospheric phase. So, because we're going to lose apparently more of this than we thought. We didn't have the thrust limiter engaged. I don't think we're going to need it. I mean, I can always throttle back if we're actually worried about the atmospheric drag effect. But our surface level thrust is only 1.38. It's actually not that high. Part of me is like, maybe it's still not enough. Maybe we're still going to fall short. But we do have more go than the last time. I don't see why we would need boosters, but boosters are pretty cool. You guys want some SRBs? Well, who am I to argue with Twitch chat? Don't answer that. We do like little SRBs. Let's get some little bad boys. We really, really, really don't need these. Okay, the mite's really small, right? And the shrimp are skinny. But they would kind of work. What you do is we could stage them here. And there. There you go. Add an extra couple hundred. Launch. So yeah, we're going to actually have the surface level thrust of 161 over here. A little bit more oomph. Because everyone likes oomph. There we go. Looks good. We don't have blinking lights! So salty. No blinking lights yet. That's the real problem here. Mark 1B. Well, actually, I'm just going to override the previous one so we don't have two of these in the save list, actually. It does look pretty cool here. So yeah, just pre-ignite, detach, and activate the boosters. Once the boosters run out, we stage. At some point, we drop the fairing, and then do the rest of this. All right. Second time's a charm. Painted red. This is not technically the Mark II. Yeah, but then we need additional government funding, so we're just going to pretend it's the same one. SAS on. Throttle full. Ignite. Stage. I guess there's a built-in tiny delay between staging phases. A little early for the gravity turn. Yeah, no, not going to worry about changing the inclination right now, because I'll probably pick the wrong one. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to do a little... Oh, Jesus, stability. Nice wobble there. I was going to rotate so that when we drop the SRBs... Nope, 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 nope. Oh, God, this big fucking nose cone. Hang on. Yeah, I think the delay is to prevent accidental double clicks, but it sort of fucks me there. Oh, no fins. Did we not put the fins back in? Grr. Grr. Yeah, that would explain. Well, it is because of the big giant head on this is really throwing us off. But yeah, the fins. So I mean, we could have different types of things. I think the little winglets is going to be more than enough. It's centered that way. Yeah, good. Okay. Fins are friends. We have Fatso chocolate. Oh my god, it is so good. Such good chocolate. Just the plain milk chocolate bars are great. The one with almond is probably my favorite. Oh yeah, we could have put the boosters on the cross side so we didn't have to rotate. See, so many smart things. It's like a little wobble. Oh my god. I'm just going to focus on shooting straight up. The advantage of doing that is we're going to get out of atmospheric drag sooner. Since we're going to such a high orbit anyway, there's no reason to go horizontal early. We are drifting a lot off the ideal course, though. Just fighting to keep it prograde. Oh my god, am I ever fighting to keep it prograde? Oh my god. Nope! This is too big in the front. I can't do it. Alright, so what we need instead, then... What we need is actual gimbling from the side. I think we need the 3 burners. I mean, the fins are small. We could add more. Maybe that's just it. But having more gimbling engines would also be useful. But I'll just throw the bigger fins on, and then we'll see if that does it. Wow, that is... I don't tend to do a lot with the fairings. So I think maybe I get spoiled, and I keep thinking I don't really need much in the way of fins. That's not the case. Huh. Okay, let's move these as well. To here, so I don't have to worry about doing the rotation. Actually, yeah, I'll do 2. Just feels more stable that way. Fins more to the center. What, higher up? Because we want the fins as low as possible. I don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, I'll delay the gravity turn a bit. I was jumping on it, which... And I'm just... staging. You know what? I don't think we need to delay. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. Okay. Look at the prograde marker. Oh, we're off center. Maybe the antenna? Holy shit. Something is pulling us to the side. This could be a center of mass thing. It feels aerodynamic though, like, oh my god. Something's trying desperately to pull us to the left. Desperately. I'm just gonna lock us on the surface prograde here. and not worry about orientating ourselves. Jesus. We could rotate the rocket. Whatever the weight was that was sending us off to the side, we could shift it to be on the correct side for the gravity turn. All right, we are... I don't know if we're quite at the point of deploying the shell. Do people have a preference for the height? I think around 30K, the air's pretty thin. We're going to drop it to drop weight and not care about the atmospheric interference anymore. And yeah, we can switch to orbital prograde tracking now. We don't need to save some stage 1 fuel, no. We can burn it all just to go as high as possible here. It's going to be fine. All right. And we are in space. So I'll ignite and then kill this engine. Okay. Yeah, see the southern inclination because of the frickin' wobble that was happening there. Their inclination is foobarred. So the battery that changed that? No, the battery's centered, so it's not that. I think there's a setting in MechJeb. I might have to get it there. Yeah, there's a MechJeb option. I think you unlock it later on to like auto-deploy the solar panels when you get into orbit. Stops you from messing things up in a tragic way. We'll extend the antenna as well. This is mounted on the side, but I don't think it was the side we were being pulled to. I don't know. Your antenna hit a speed bump. Did I drop any frames? Nope, we're good here. Good. Excellent. All right. Well, let's get ourselves in some kind of orbit here. Was it the side we were being dragged to? Oh, I started the burn too late. Oh, shit. This was lit, but are you not actually doing it? We have reaction wheels. What the fuck? Did this turn off during the time warp, but not actually, like, green, like, make this button not be green? Oh, our center of mass is just fucked. Oh, shit. Our reaction wheels... there might be gimbling on this engine. Oh, I have to go, like, thrust very low, so our reaction... There's very weak reaction wheels in the Probodobodyne. Oh, no. Okay, because our center of mass is slightly off... Oh, man. This design has so many problems. Because our center of mass is slightly off, I can only thrust at... What is this, about 12% thrust? Anything more than that, our reaction wheels can't manage it. And can't keep it centered. I forgot that there was... Or I didn't realize, I suppose. I didn't check that there was no gimbling in this engine. Because I think the Terrier... That must be the difference between the Pub that we're using, or the Pug, and the Terrier. The Terrier does have gimbling. The Pug, which is lighter, and therefore, like, more fuel efficient, clearly doesn't have gimbling. And, wow, that is a challenge. No, that's definitely the thing. Okay, let me turn on... Zoom in. Maybe it's because I'm trying to zoom in before it zooms in. I'm going to set a thrust limiter at about 15%. Hit max throttle. Okay, this it can manage. It might change if I extend the antenna, but for now, 15% seems to be fine. The question is... So yeah, the prograde was working. It was just... The question is, are we actually going to circularize before we re-enter? And I'm not sure about that. What we might do then, if this doesn't work out, we'll see if we've got reaction wheels unlocked. We have tons of science. So we can just add reaction wheels, or an RCS on this thing. But a reaction wheel would be the easiest thing to do. And actually, let me go... Stop this, turn this off, go to SAS mode. So right now you're burning towards the planet to a certain extent. Let's stabilize. Let's burn towards horizon, which is going to be a partial radial burn, partial prograde, which isn't as fuel efficient to open up our the range of our orbit, but will delay the time to re-entry a little bit because we're pushing this up. Okay, we are going to be fine. Wow, so many little problems on this one. Reminds me of last week when we were struggling with the weird command module. The slow burn is rough. I think this one would be fine. I think we will recover this, but it's going to be kind of annoying. I don't think we're going to mirror the antenna. Yeah, we're going to be fine, although it might be too fuel inefficient. But mostly it's going to be really annoying because I have to burn so slowly, and that's stupid and sucky. So I think is command and control over here. There you go. Small inline reaction wheels. We throw that in. That won't be an issue anymore. Now, we're still going to have kind of a tricksy launch. It's hard to judge the center of mass, because you can't actually look straight down. I think they prevent it so you don't get into a gimbal lock with your camera. Like, the center of mass looks centered, but if it's off by a tiny bit, gimbal looks well. I think we're gonna be fine. What I'll do is we'll use some we'll punch in some things. I could use a little RCS, or we could just use the liquid fuel. Yes, over here as sort of a gimbal booster, which would also dramatically increase our delta V. Right? If we just throw in. There we go. Nope, that's not what I want to do. If we do this, I was really trying to do this one on like a nice little budget. Can I use these? Yeah, these, because they're a lot smaller, which is nice. And then we can even do this, and then we'll end up with like stupid amounts of overkill delta V. But one of the Kerbal rules is kind of there's no such thing as too much overkill. So yeah, we have stupid amounts of delta V, and we're gonna have stupid amounts of gimbling as well for our launch. Yeah, it's only taxpayer money, it's fine. Bring this down just to make that launch a little more stable on the sides. All right, this one definitely deserves a Mark II. Oh, I have caps lock on. Let's bring less fuel. Yeah, true, but... All right, launch 17. This one for sure, unless we need an 18, which maybe is the magic number. We did check the center of mass. Well, we didn't check the center of thrust, but there's no reason the thrust shouldn't be centered. We checked the center of mass, and it was no way to really tell anything. All right, SAS on. Ridiculous amounts of thrust. Oh, you can see here, the prograde starts to drift immediately. But the antenna's on the right-hand side. Right? Or does the orientation change? Again, the center of mass looked centered, but this is like much, much, much more controllable here. It's still definitely aerodynamically wobbly, but it's not too bad. All right. A little bit of aerodynamic drag from the visuals here, but it's really not bad. Actually, often like to punch in specific numbers here, but I don't want to punch in the wrong one right now. Whoops! They collided against each other. Extending antenna should shift the center of mass. Yeah, it might. But we have the reaction wheels now, so I'm no longer worried about what's going to happen with the antenna extended. Once we're in the small thing, we're going to have full control. It's going to be fine. The reaction wheels, like the manual reaction wheels you add tons of reaction shit. Okay, let me turn this off. Turn on manual SAS. Because, yeah, we actually want to be... The north is actually on the south side of this ball, which I didn't realize. I'm seeing now the green line. So I really actually quite want to shift... Nope, don't fuck it up, Quill. Not now. You're in good shape. I'm going to try to pull it the other way, which is the correct side. Oh, I can drop the fairing now. Oh, it's business. I'm like, what's this purple shit? Solar panel extend. Should have tied this to an action group, although I don't know if I have action groups actually unlocked. I'm gonna leave the antenna settled for now. No one's died, amazingly. We actually haven't reset the man flights. It's just these satellite ones that seem a little extra tricky. Okay. I know we're not at apoapsis, but it's not like we can't raise the apoapsis right now. In fact, I won't complain if we don't end up circularizing here. Oh, we still got wobble. Let us just move around. Yeah, maybe we needed to strut our auto strut more. I'm not sure. I think it still might be fighting with center of mass shit, though. Okay. Stage. That's the fairing. Now the separator. Now ignite this. And stop. Okay. We are orbital. That's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball the size of our orbit at this point. And for this, it doesn't matter where I'm burning, because all I'm trying to do is embiggen the circle in general, right? If you're trying to raise the apoapsis, you're doing from periapsis, not because the periapsis itself is necessarily magic, but because it's the opposite side. Here, I need to raise all sides, so I'm just going to start the little burn here. Okay, just going to try not to overshoot it. Just going to do a bunch of time warping. We will get to the apoapsis to raise the peri, and then make some more adjustments. Okay, we can try as well, out of curiosity, if we expand this antenna. And full burn. Yeah, see, now it can handle it just fine. You can see it does shift a little when we turn it on. So the center of mass is a little wanky. Now, what we want to do is that we actually want to stop this when this reaches this line. And we'll treat this as a new, like, the new burn point. Right? Wherever it's making contact with his orbit. There you go. So what we want to do is we want to do a burn where it's basically touching the desired orbit. Because we don't want to change that spot. Although, at some point, the inclination, we're pretty close, though. And we don't want to do an inclination change until our orbit's as big as possible. Because again, I think the math supports we could actually overshoot our orbit to really big, change the inclination, and then shrink it down, and I think it would save delta V, even though it's super counterintuitive. Alright, we have to fix that, but that's not bad. So now what we're going to do is we're going to align ourselves to either the ascending or descending node, which is this bit, which, even if it's not marked, it's basically, when you're looking at it sideways, it's where we're crossing through the path here. Which, okay, I think that's the ascending and descending node of the satellite, but yeah, we want to basically do it where we happen to be crossing paths. Maybe it is relative to us. All right. So as we're getting close, what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to burn like upwards, which I think is the normal direction. The purple, right? Because the radian is sort of left and right from the perspective of the orbit, or away from the body or towards from the body, whereas the normal and anti-normal is up and down from the plane. So we're specifically going to want to face up in terms of the orbit over here. We'll double check that in a second to make sure we're getting it right. We'll do a little visual check. All right. So we're here. Yeah, see, we're pointing upwards. It's interesting that the normal marker looks in line with the horizon. I don't know why that is. But if we start this burn, what should happen is this part should move upwards. There it is. And you want to do it, ideally, right where you're crossing the orbit point of the orbit you're trying to match, because you're pivoting around that. The closer you are, the better. That's close enough. Fuel's good. Alignment seems halfway decent. So now we'll just go back to correcting. Now this is interesting. We're too high here, we're too low there. What we could do right over here is I could burn prograde to raise it here, and then at the other side I could burn retrograde to lower it. But really what we can do is right from this point here, is this would be a place where we could burn radial to twist the orbit. And that would probably be, in this situation, the most fuel efficient way to fix this. Because rather than inserting a bunch of energy into the orbit and then removing a bunch of energy into the orbit, what we're looking to do is just shift the direction of the orbit right at this little crossing point. So radial here faces away from the planet, which is to the right from this context, which looks correct. I know my screen is mirrored, but I promise you I'm facing right. So if I do this, it's going to shift the orbit. Now, we could do a lot of these with maneuver nodes and things like that. But again, I like to do the first few eyeballing it, because it reminds me of what the mechanics actually mean. And just like that, contract complete. We can turn this off. Contract parameter complete. Oh yeah, we have a bunch of these old messages. But more importantly, if we actually look at our contract log, there we go, all green. We had to maintain stability for 10 seconds. That just happened now. So this should be done, yeah? If I leave this in orbit, hang on, do I do it from here? There we go. Let's go to the Space Center. It shouldn't be in the active thing anymore. Yeah, we extended it earlier. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. When the orbit disappears is when you get it. That's right. That's your 10, then, yeah. Does it disappear instantly or after the 10 seconds? Yeah, we have no active missions. Hey! Exploration. Next one is, get into orbit around the moon. Cool. Plant a flag on the moon. That sounds fun. Surveys, tourism. And yeah, these should be generated from Twitch chat. Yeah, there you go. See? Look at that. Bam, 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 bam. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure we're going to do some of these later on. I think these are... It's suborbital. Fly by the moon. Ooh. Yeah, well, we'll come back to the tourism. That sounds great. Robotic science retrieval. Bring a moonstone back with you. Oh, that's cool. That's new to me. You can get moonstones now? That's awesome. We also have a lot of cash. We can also get more by, we get an advance over here. Certainly for our next missions, what we're going to want to do is the tracking station, so we get patched conics. And we want upgrade mission control so we can do flight planning. You need both of those to be level 2. Upgrading mission control by itself lets you have more active contracts, which is nice. But otherwise it doesn't do anything unless you also have the level 2 tracking station. Actual big objects in the end. Yeah, and then you can like leave research behind and stuff, which is cool. There's surface samples, but that was already there before. We ultimately would like to upgrade this to get surface samples from the moon. That's a big chunk of cash. We might want to have a little bit more money. Although the fact that we can accept a few more contracts, or we could, I could go and generate a little bit of money by doing some of these things. Ooh, a rescue mission. Digesting Dragon is stranded in Kerbal orbit. I wonder if Digesting Dragon has a jetpack or not. They must have, because we wouldn't. Whatever they're stranded in doesn't necessarily have like a docking port or anything like that. Rescue missions are quite fun because it's about encounters. Like we sort of did an orbital. You know, we matched an orbit in here. An encounter is basically the same thing, the matching an orbit, but also matching a specific point in the orbit at a specific time. And they're really exciting to do. I mean, we don't have time to do it today, but these are really fun missions. They don't pay out maybe as much as I would like. I wonder why this one is 2-star and pays more. I wonder if it's a harder orbit. Could be the case. This one here is just test the storage container at the launch site. Like we can finish this instantly. That's an easy part test. Sometimes they're really easy. You can just test them from the launch pad. I think that's under payload. No? Oh, maybe cargo. So in theory... Yeah, I know it's not controllable. It might still need a crew. Here, we'll have the scientist. Actually, it sounds like we need an engineer. Do Kerbals eat? Not by default, but we are running a mod that adds life support. Now, I think the rescued Kerbals are in a hibernated state, so I don't think they time out, but I'm not sure. Make a bus and catch all of them in one go? That would take a lot of fuel. Can I? No, I can't just do the run? I wonder if it needs something else. Oh, EVA jetpack, personal parachute are now in our cargo pods. Perform the test, use run test option and part context menu when all test conditions are met. We're at Kerbal, we have a launch site. Maybe it needs to be controllable in some way. Just put a command pod attached to it. And probe or a capsule. Okay. There it is. Run test. Look at that. Just free money. Contract complete. Lovely. And you get an advance as well. And we recover the vessel. It costs us literally nothing. And you can do that. Now, you got to be careful with those part testing contracts because some of them require you to test the part in flight between 10,000 and 15,000 meters, for example. Or even at certain speeds, I think, might be a thing. So some of the contracts, and I mean, those things with extra requirements tend to pay more. But they can be like a little bit frustrating sometimes. You're like, oh wait, how come I can't do this? And some of them are very tricky. Conduct temperature survey of the moon. Oh yeah, see, this is flying over specific areas of the moon, which can be a little tricksy as well. Decent payment. I feel like we should accept these. Now, the expire date here, I believe, is when the offer goes away. And then if we accept, we have 5 years to do this. So, out of curiosity, if we accept this contract, now if we cancel it, we'll lose some rep. But I think it should show up in the tracking now. Okay, got it. Go away. You go away too. There it is, right here. Digesting Dragon. So, low orbit. Now, there are sweet spots for launch time. Ideally, what would happen here is we would launch from our site at the exact right time so that as we get to orbit, we're basically lining up with this thing. which in practice I think would mean launching while it's just behind us, right, from here. Because as we're going mostly upwards, it's still going to be accelerating this way. We will be in the lower orbit, which is faster, but we're not really going to be doing that. So I think you'd launch when it was over here and we get kind of close. In practice, what we'd probably do... how long are we going today? We're about to wrap it up. But we'll have this mission for next week. In practice, what we'd probably do is launch higher up, which would put us in a slower orbit. And then what we'd do is we would let us, rotate a few times while the digesting dragon's craft, which is in a fairly low orbit. It'd be harder for us to be in a lower orbit than it is. So it'll catch up to us. While we're in the higher orbit, it'll catch up to us. And then what we'll do is, as that's happening, we will descend to meet it at some point. Or plan some other rendezvous, which is a lot easier now that we can do maneuver planning. And we've got patch conics, so we'll get more previews. These green lines over here, this is our satellite, the relay satellite. So it's currently in communication with a bunch of different ground stations. And then as we send out, missions somewhere else, they'll be able to get this, which isn't like a huge relay. I think this is have a more of a relay range than the base stations. When you start the game, you do have the option of whether or not there's multiple relay sites. If you're playing with like the super hard mode, where the only relay site is the Kerbal Space Center itself, what can happen is if you got a satellite, like some mission on the far side here, and it can't see the KSC, then it can't communicate. So you put these communication satellites in fairly high orbit, so they'll almost never be eclipsed, or even in a polar orbit. Although even in a polar orbit, it can be eclipsed from the side. And you can have like a pair of them, or you can have a couple of them in, ideally you'd have them in like synchronous orbit on opposite sides of the planet or this or that. In practice, as long as they're in a pretty high orbit, they'll basically never be eclipsed by Kerbal, not for any meaningful time. And especially if there's some redundancies. Like if we put one in orbit around the moon, or a couple in orbit around the moon, it can also act as a relay to KSP for, missions that are further out to Minmus or some damn thing like that. And manned missions don't care about it unless you're trying to transmit science back. But the probes, they do. And yeah, by default, on the default difficulty, if the probes, assuming you're using, you can turn off ComNet if you don't want to use it. The default ComNet difficulty, I think you can still do like full throttle or zero throttle on a probe. Maybe another couple of things. And on a harder difficulty, you can't control them at all on that. But it's pretty cool. I used to play with Remote Tech, which is still available. And Remote Tech is a much more hardcore version of this. And they're both fun. Ultimately, I decided not to run Remote Tech this time because I didn't want to... you have to manually aim your relay antennas to various things. And I didn't want to have to micromanage that. I think we can hide the connections. Well, that hides the relays. How do we actually hide the comm lines? Oh, there we go. Comm there. Oh, first hop, path, vessel links, the whole network. Well, that's quite cool. So if we just had it on like first hop, it would probably show our current thing connected to something else or something like that, and some of these paths for active vessels. Anyway, let's leave it on. I don't know. We'll leave it on path for now, and maybe it'll come up later and it'll look kind of neat. Still want to see the FTL tech. It will take a little while before we get the FTL. As a reminder, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is Let 'em Dare. We are going to be making a game from scratch over here on the channel, live streaming the whole thing. Watch me go slowly crazy over the period of time. Oh yeah, we got gift subs as well. I did hear that. Thank you for the reminder, though. Dun, dun, dun. How come I'm not getting up? Okay, Streamlabs is not showing it to me. I'm going to try refreshing. I'll go back in the chat here. What the hell, Streamlabs? Oh, maybe because it was an anonymous. An anonymous gifter gave Digesting Dragon a tier 1 sub. Oh, that's awesome! So, Dragon, you might be stranded in space, but at least you've got a Twitch sub waiting for you when you get back. Yeah, I'm wondering if it was because it was anonymous that it didn't show up in my log properly. So that'll be our thing for next Wednesday. Theoretically, next Wednesday we will be streaming Kerbal. Hopefully I'll have recovered from the weekend by then. Fingers crossed. Thanks a lot for coming out, everyone. I'll see you guys on the weekend for game programming. Dun, dun, dun. Adios. Bye-bye.